A very good evening to all of you. So today we would focus on how to study when you are in a job. Now, what kind of exam are you appearing for? That is very important. Are you appearing for an exam that is simply for job enrichment? It is related to your job and would be helping you in the job, or are you preparing for, let's say, a government exam which is totally different from your present job? In both of these cases, your strategy would vary. So what you have to keep in mind, if you are applying for, let's say, a job enrichment program, no issues, you can let your employer know, you can let your colleagues know, and that would make it very easy, very smooth. But what if you are preparing for government exam? If you are preparing for government exam, you cannot have your employers or your colleagues know or get informed about it. So in that circumstances, what you need to do, in that circumstances, you need to study extra. You need to have extra hours that should be devoted to your exam preparation. Now, how can you do that? So first of all, we would say what time is good, what should be your strategy, how you can do the time management. So when it comes to time management, we say 2 to 3 hours on a daily basis is something that is definitely recommended. When you are having, let's say, 5 hours of job, 5 days a week job, then you have 2 days a weekend, so you have Saturdays and Sundays. In other cases, you would have just the Sunday that would be there. So don't consider this to be a free day. Use this day wholeheartedly for your preparation. Close to your examination, what you can do is you can take a leave. Now, you can take a leave of, let's say, 5 days, a week or 2 weeks, depending on how much preparation is already done and what all areas still needs to be researched. So that is regarding the time management. Now, what time becomes very important, specifically when you are in job. Let's say you have a job of 9 to 6. Now, when you have a job of 9 to 6, that means after 6 you are totally tired. What would be the best time to study then? The best time to study would be take out the hours in the early morning. Now here there would be two benefits. What? Firstly, you are fresh. So you have better retention and you are not involved with all the fatigue and the problems of the job. So more efficiency you can have while you are studying. However, if you start after 6, there would be one major drawback. What it is? You have a huge fatigue, the workload, and all the day of work might lead you to some kind of stress, and that won't be a suitable time to study well. So usually not recommended period. Also, what is very important to note here is when the morning hours are there, you are very sure that you are done with your studies. So when you are in your job, you are wholeheartedly in your job. If you are not done your studies in the early morning, what would happen? If you are not done with your studies in the early morning, you would have a difficult time managing the task, because here you would see that there is a lot of disturbance, in the sense in your mind you would have a complication, and this would be all resolved. Now what would happen if you start after your job? Whole day during the job period, you would see that you are engaged in your mind with what should I study, what should I not study, I have not done this, I have not done that. So you are not neither into your job nor into your studies. So in both ways, this is not a recommended method that should be adopted. So a good idea would be to understand that you utilize the morning hours. Now what should be the strategy? As I said, the primary strategy here should be identifying your weak areas first. So let's talk about appearing for example, UPSC examination. Now UPSC examination, when you are appearing for, it might not be related to any of your previous jobs or the active jobs you are engaged in. Now in that circumstances, what would happen? In those circumstances, you would be studying certain topics. Let's say you are good at environment, you are good at polity, but you are too weak, let's say, in history. So in that situation, you should focus more on history, because you are confident that the questions related to environment and polity would be well attempted by me. So focus on your weak areas. Even during your job, when you are actively in your job, study the weak areas. What we usually have a tendency to do is we leave the weak topics towards the end and we focus only on the strong topics. And when we focus only on the strong topics, what would happen? We would leave this weak area and this would be left till the end. So that is no point. Focus on your weak areas, identify the weak areas and study those on priority. So this should be given the priority while you are studying. Okay. So that is a primary strategy that should be followed. Shivaling has a question regarding 7th and 8th, certain topics that are missing. Shivaling, yes, we do have physics and chemistry videos that are pending to come. Those would be coming in the coming months definitely. So all the remaining topics of the sciences would be covered, don't worry, and those would be coming soon. Mathematics is also in development, so mathematics topics would also be coming soon. Now, when it is related to your job, sometimes you face struggle because of the workload. You also need to understand that you need to cut down your workload. In the sense, you need to perform good at your workplace, because during these times of pandemic, by no case you would want your job to lay off or you want to get laid off. So maintain a good pace at the job, and simultaneously if you are preparing for any exam, it becomes very hectic. No doubt it is a difficult, challenging task to do that, but understand this is just a matter of couple of weeks or months, and once it is done you are all set. Okay, so make sure that you wholeheartedly get involved into the task. It should not be with half-minded efforts. Sometimes what happens is you have the caliber, but you do not want to be wholeheartedly involved into the task. So if you are doing it half-mindedly, then you are simply not being sincere to your job and not being dedicated to your studies as well. So don't do with half-hearted mind or half-minded stage. Be very dedicated that yes, I want to qualify this exam and by all means I would devote my best, and only then start your preparation. Otherwise what would happen? You would be keeping your job, you would not be wholeheartedly into your job, and you would keep applying for any new exam that comes. Neither you would do well with the exams nor you would do well with the job. So even your promotions in the jobs could be affected. So as I mentioned, at this point of time, by no case you want to get laid off, and therefore maintaining your job should be your priority. But gaining extra hours besides your job should also be your focus, and those should be managed probably before the job, whatever your job shifts are. So before job should be the best time that you should focus on, because once you are done with your studies, you are fully energetic and you can devote and spend time in your job as well, and you can do your work with full concentration as well. So before job is the best time to study. Weekends, probably Saturdays or Sundays, whatever you get, should be utilized to the best. Just before your examination, 1 week, 2 week, whatever suits you, should be your leave period where you can dedicatedly study for your examination. Now, I have many students who come and ask about what should we do in case we have a job which requires a shift change, or there are emergency duties, those involved with COVID duties, those involved with emergency forces, police tasks. So all those on emergency duties on ground forces, you usually face difficulty with how to juggle between the job and the exam. Now in that scenario, what you can do at best is you can understand how much time on an average do you get. Based on the time that you get, you can have a well-defined curriculum, because your timings every day would vary, and since your timings are varying, you cannot have a very precise duration that this is the time that I would be studying. But you can have a broad framework in mind that on an average in this week I would get 10 hours, 20 hours to study, and that should give you a rough tentative outline. Also, when you are short of time, there are some important things you need to keep in mind. First is solving the past year papers. Past year papers are very essential. Try to solve those as much as possible. Usually last 5 to 10 years papers is what we recommend. Now the thing is, questions are never repeated. They are never repeated, but the thing is, there is similar kind of concepts that are asked, or if not, you also get to know the pattern. What is the kind, or let's say if it is MCQ, if it is match list, if it is correct choice, picking incorrect choice, the preciseness, the depth of those concepts can be easily obtained. That is what is very important to understand. So those are some of the things that we usually recommend students how to attempt those, how to solve those. Now if you have any questions, any doubts relating to those, feel free to put those in the comment section. Again, there is one important thing, that every Tuesdays and Saturdays we are online, and that is at 6 p.m. on English channel, Thursdays on Hindi channel at 6 p.m. Now Tuesdays we come up with testing Tuesdays, where we are working on the questions. So next week again we would have a question session on the Tuesdays, and then our colleagues, our fellows, bring in questions related to the topics related to what should be discussed as a challenge while you are studying, and those are usually discussed on Saturdays. So Saturday again we would meet with a new topic for you. Until then, if you have any questions, feel free to email us. Every Saturdays we do offer one-on-one free counseling, so those are important, and those who want to avail those can simply send a request to the admin at examrace.com, or our WhatsApp number 999-800-8851. So either of those works well. Wish you a very good luck. Keep working hard. Do not think that exams have been postponing. Whatever the scenario would come, don't worry about that. Be prepared for your examination, and by the present date what has been announced for your examination, keep working hard. So that's the best way you can move forward. Vinay has a question. I have applied for JKSSB assistant compiler, in which there is only 2 seat vacancy. So about vacancies you are worried. So Vinay, that this point of time we would recommend that whatever job you have, you do not miss any of your jobs, and whatever possible vacancies come up, you do apply for all if possible. So don't worry about the number of the seats that are there. Definitely, if only 2 seats are there, we know that this is a difficult competition, and the chances become very difficult. The competition becomes tough. But despite of that, keep working hard. It's only who would keep sailing would ultimately reach the shore. So be very particular that don't let your morale down. Keep working hard. Don't worry about the end results. The only objective now should be working and working. So that's how you should proceed. Okay, I hope that was it. And Shivling has a question about 6 to 12th and 6 to 10th. Yes, so for sciences we recommend 6 to 10th should be covered, and for social sciences 6 to 12th should be covered. So history, polity and geography and economics you should cover till class 12th. For sciences, class 10th till class 10th is okay. And then last year there were many questions from contemporary science. So any kind of development, be it in physics, be it in astronomy, be it related to medical developments this time. So anything related to viruses, COVID, how antivirals work, how RT-PCR technique works. Then you could have questions related to quantum entanglement, quantum mechanics, so all of quantum computing. So all of those questions, gravitas, Lego, are some of the common questions that have been in news recently related to sciences. In our series on expected topics, we would be covering all of those. So we have already initiated the series. The very first video would be coming next week itself, and then you would have numerous topics that would be coming before your prelims examination, and that would cover a series of important topics, giving you an outline what to cover and what are the important topics in case you have missed those. So that's all for today. We would see you next Tuesday again. Have a wonderful day.